Welcome to this Zentangle Quickie. My name is Heather Hartwick Gladden. I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. And today we're going to take a look at the Zentangle original tangle, Well, Who. Now, in the description section, you will find links to the step outs, my step out, as well as the newsletter where this was announced on Zentangle, and see some of the beautiful samples and stuff that they have. So this is actually this was the result of our Tough Tangle Tuesday, and not that this one is necessarily tough. It's definitely one that looks a lot harder than it is. But it has a lot of steps, and so I kind of threw this in on Tough Tangle Tuesday. So if you're interested, and I'll show my samples that are mostly done from today, but I want to let you know I do classes almost twice weekly. This is one of the free ones. I call it Tough Tangle Tuesday. It's generally on the third Tuesday of the month, unless I have some weird schedule thing. And where we take something that has a lot more steps or is complicated or takes a lot more focus or something, and we explore it and have fun. Um, all right, so this one starts off with an orb in the center of wherever you want it. You could also want it to be off center. That's completely up to you. There's a lot of fun to be had with playing with the dimensions and things with this one, as with a lot of tangles. And yeah, you could just make it end up looking, almost completely different, just by playing with different aspects. So much fun. All right, next step is we're going to utilize the takeoff and land concept, more of the takeoff, which is where we trace over. I'm going to trace over this orb. It's more of a launching point, is how I look at it. So I'm going to launch this. We're going to make a curved line, and I'm going to go towards the corner here, like so. Now, I'm luckily using a square uh, piece of paper. It's a square 2x2 bijou tile. Now, if you're working on something round and you want to make we're going to do 4 spokes initially. And if you're worried about making them somewhat close to even, you can do it this way. This is nice because I point them right to the corners and I don't have to worry about it. But here, so we're going to do same thing, but you could do it this way and then come in and do the other direction. So if you're working on a like a Zendala, or like I said, some piece of something that is not square, where you can go towards the corners for these first 4. That just something to help. Then we're going to do it again. These ones are going to be just a little bit shorter, and I'm going to attempt to subdivide this space and do my best to make it even. But you know what? If it's not, it's okay. Something else that I always work to do. Oh, that's close. Is we turn the tile and using the natural curve of the hand. So you have the hand planted, and then using this natural curve. So that's why we're always turning the tile and adjusting, so that way we can use that and have some consistency. It increases the chances, that's for sure. All right, next we're going to put some orbs in. And the orbs are going to go, so just looking at each section. And we're going to put an orb towards the top, a little bit lower than here, than the end of that second spoke that we did. And I'm going to trying to get it sort of centered in there. Again, another aspect that you can play with and have fun with. Even the number of spokes, you can have fun with that. Oh, see, that one could be a little bit longer. I'm not going to worry about it at this moment, because in the subsequent steps, you do have opportunity, to make those a little bit longer if you need to. Okay, whoops. So there we go. Next, find one of your original 4 spokes. So this should be the longer one. And we're going to work with the orbs to either side of that, one of the 4 initial spokes. And we're going to do another curve line. It's really uh, variations on the same theme. And this one could be a nice C shape curve, or you could do a little bit of an S shape curve. I like to do that. But so we're going to do same idea with the takeoff and land concept, and we're going to just land up at that tip. So this one, I'm going out away from that initial spoke, but coming to it. And then this, the one on the opposite side, we're going to do it the opposite direction, right? And we're coming out like that. So I hope that makes sense. And if not, look it, I've got 4 more chances here. So maybe just a watch and see. So I'm going on the outside of the orb and up towards the tip. This, again, the outside of the orb to the tip. I am, for whatever reason, not necessarily holding this tile where it is comfortable. But, hey, it's working, and I'm not going to look the gift horse in the mouth, right? And if you've done the Tangle Toodles, which, gosh, I think it's been a while since we did it on a Quickie video. I do have a video of that. Some of these stroke, like this part is very similar to Toodles. All right, we're going to do a lot of the same concept of the takeoff and land, and we're going to be using this orb. I think we do, yeah, four different strokes from it, which is similar, like even the initial strokes, that was similar to well. This part too, similar to well. All right. So the next one, actually, I'm turning my tile opposite. Again, same orbs, but this time, find the secondary strokes that we made. So this have nothing attached to them yet. And we're going to go on either side. This time, the curve line is going to go towards the center. So if I had these in a static position, in my mind, I guess they are, because I think of it as going underneath the orb. But you can just take a look here. This one is, well, because depending on the space you have, like here is like, that's a very short curved line. But this is more of a C type shape. And again, just tracing over a little bit and landing. And here's where, if you did the curve line and you end up above this, that's okay. Then you can just extend this line wherever it needs to be. And don't worry about your orbs if they, I'm not doing too bad of a job at making them not so sloppy. But, in the end decorating phase, you can always fill them in or something if they get a little bit too sloppy with all this, tracing around stuff. All right. Now, what's neat about this tangle is there are so many places, even the step before this, where you could just stop and have fun with it. Even, the first two steps, I added a step. I added the orb as the step 1 on my step out. But there's so many places where you could kind of stop and go, oh, that's really cool. I think I'm going to go from there and have some fun. But for now, we're going to stick with the step out. So next step is, we're focusing on that initial stroke, the longer stroke, right? So this one, and again, going on either side. This time, though, we're tracing around the orb, and this time we're just going to touch that center spoke like that. And then on the opposite side. So this, too, is just a C-shaped curved line. And where you can, have fun with, how much arch you have, that you can add some extra character there. Okay. Whoops. Sorry about that. All right. Last big curved line, takeoff and land. Again, same orb, focusing in on the initial 4 strokes we made. we're going to take, we're going to go towards that spoke. So here's the orb going to go towards the spoke, but we're going to land, and this one is for real a takeoff and land, because we're tracing over. That's the takeoff, and then the land is you trace over a little bit of the orb where we're landing on. So this one on the right of that spoke seems to be more of just a regular old curve line. But on the opposite side, I end up doing a little bit of an S because I've got all of this space here. And if I just did, a curve line, I would end up short. So I like to add a little bit of a extra curve in there. Not quite aura-ing this, but, just a little bit. And just have fun with it and see, however your hand decides to do it. And then we're going to do this, obviously, for all of them. And it just seems to be the nature of the way the lines end up, at least on mine. Okay. And so right here, now while it does continue, and I will continue, we're gonna do this as the step out describes. But I just also want to mention, just look at that is amazing. And this could be your reticula for putting other tangles in. You can decorate this however you like from this point. But with that, I'm going to continue with the way we have it, where it's outlined in the step out. But I just wanted to make that point because we had a lot of fun with this today, and some did it like the step out, and then some did it a little bit differently, and it was a lot of fun. If you want to see the recap from that, because I make recordings, especially of the free classes, and I do post them on this channel. When it takes a little bit more effort, so and I try to get them done in a reasonable amount of time. It just depends on how real life goes. But if you're interested in seeing those, go to my website, which is the link is in the description. It's tangleaddicts.com, and sign up to follow my blog because that's where I post it. If you subscribe to this YouTube channel, you'll see that, but you'll just see the recording. On the blog post, I take copies of the screenshot. I put screenshots on there because we always do that at the end of any session, and then I gather people's sample work, so they either email it to me or I grab it from our private Facebook group, and I put them on there so that way you can see things more up close, and two, sometimes people didn't necessarily finish. But you can see what fun we have with it, as well as have links to this Quickie video and the replays. So if you're interested, would love to have you sign up for that. All right, so the next step in the step out, so again, this is the decorating phase, is if you've ever done the Tangle Crescent Moon, we're going to just put a little curve line underneath this part right here and fill it in. And actually, we'll do that on all of these sections. And you can have fun with this shape. I on one of the samples that I'll show you, I decided to make it this full length, almost like a seed shape, which that is very reminiscent of the Tangle Well. It's one of the last steps that we do, and had fun with that. You'll see that in a little bit. But this one is kind of like Crescent Moon, and I like to think of these as maybe a shadow or something. All right, so then from here we're just going to aura, and that's why I mentioned Crescent Moon, because that's what the Crescent Moon tangle. That's what we do, is we just aura until we have no more room. But this one you're gonna follow this down, so this whole section, just adding curve lines. And so depending on how you have your have this line, let's say, do your best to I meant to say, and to aura is really is like an outline, as you can see, and then we just continue down. I am not worrying about lining up you know, these from side to side at all. You can if you want. Up at the top here, actually the next one will show more of what I'm just thinking. But I try to really do a nice aura, and like here, well, I'll just stop and do it. So I'm auraing that, and I have a little section here, and then to continue, I'm just basically like auraing that section. So I just go with whatever shape or direction that it ended up with up at the top there. Again, try not to worry too much about anything, because that's the fun of Zentangle, is not pre-planning, just going with the flow. Now, what's neat about this is that really, once you get down these first steps that we did, and curving the lines the way they're supposed to go, and all of that kind of stuff, and it's not really that hard, and almost, if I think about it, because it just occurred to me fully. I had a half of this thought earlier. So backing up for a moment. So when we're doing all of this stuff around the orb, we did everything in relation, to the spoke. So we did, left side, right side from each. But if you think about it from the orb standpoint, I'm doing one big curve line from that orb going to the spoke on the right, and then a second one a little ways down to the right, and then this one is going down to the center, and then the last one is going to the spoke on the left. It's similar to what we did, here, where we're kind of going in a circle with these curved lines coming from that, and it just occurred to me, not that would, I don't think that would be easier to do, but if it helps in remembering the steps without having to go back and look. That sometimes is the challenge with a tangle that has a lot of steps, is that it's like, oh wait, I need to look at it, and it's not necessarily committed to memory as fast as some of the other simpler ones. Hence why this was on Top Tangle Tuesday. But in general, it's not that difficult, because it's just curved lines and knowing where to place them. So there we have that. Next step in the step out is to aura these top parts. And so, we have this curve line already set. I'm going to try to do these a little wider than I did down here, so there's a little bit of contrast. That's just what I want to do. I tried that on one of the other ones, and I think I got one, and then probably because it was on the class and we were talking, and not not thinking, and so it was I fell into my normal. I kind of have a seemingly normal width in which I aura, and because I was trying to go a little bit wider than normal, and fell right into my normal pattern. But that's okay. But and being with that, this has so much repetition with just all these curve lines, and the strokes are simple, right? The curve lines, where you could really get the meditative benefit from this one, just by focusing in on these curve lines, outside of the fact that you can have a lot of super fun creative wise by figuring out, well, what else can I do with this one, and that's what we had fun with on our session today. All right, the last little step, actually this is where Maria kind of finishes hers. I did throw this this little what do I call it? A little comma-y thing like this. It's kind of like what we'll do, that fancy fescue. And I'm doing this on the looking at these two sections. I'm doing it on the left side. It's just a little swooshy mark that I think is cute. You don't have to add it. Like I said, all of this really from the point of putting these, these, I want to call them crescent moons because that's what we call that tangle. But from these filled in parts and all of the auraing, really, you can do whatever you want and have a lot of fun with it. All right. Shading wise, and this was part of her final step was shading the opposite section to where we put the little swooshy comma e mark in. I think that's what I called it on the call. We were having fun with what I was calling it. Add it to my Heatherisms. And like I said, you don't have to do that. Don't even have to add the little curve lines and all of that. You can do something else, and I'll show you what I did. This is nice. I just put a little bit of graphite in there. As you saw, I just scribbled, and then with the tortillon, smoothed it out, so we get this nice shade of gray in there. You could also, and I think I'm just going to do this up here. I'm going to put some graphite down the center and on the inside of these. And spread it out a little bit. I think I might got too much graphite, or I actually need to have this be a little bit thinner. Oh, but you can see it. Actually, you can, but I've buried my little room. Oh, there it is. I always like to dim that just a tad so you can see the contrast a little better. And I could probably darken this a bit. Oh, there it is. This is a better one. Oh, there we go. It's just nice to add extra dimension. And we already have kind of a lot going in down here. You could, depending on how you've done it, I mean, you could do something similar down below here with shading, just to if you wanted to give that kind of a curve. But working so small here on this bijou tile, it doesn't give me a lot of room. Or I should say, I just have to be extra creative. And that's actually one of the things that I don't mention too much. I mentioned, mostly, like the meditative style, because that's what, we call it a meditative art form, because that's what it is. It's what it was started as a way to teach meditation through art. It's become so much more. Oh, it become all of that and more, is the way I should say it. Oh, but look at that. Isn't that nice? It is just nice. And because my little orb in the center got a little bit sloppy, I'm going to, fill it in, sort of, but leaving the little bit of shine there. A little shine and a little reflection. There we go. And you could do that to all of the little orbs if they get a little too sloppy, as I mentioned. You can just have fun with it. What a neat tangle this is. But as I was starting to say, the extra fun with Zentangle in general is just exploring our creativity. And I remember, well, actually, it's in both of their books, is where they talk about the benefits of Zentangle. Besides the relaxation, meditation, stress relief, all of that is a creativity booster. And that's what's fun. That's what I think I enjoy most about the sessions that I do, is that it's a creativity booster. Oh, well, I don't like this about this tangle, so here's what I'm going to do a little bit differently. And we have fun. So this one, I decided that on these top sections, and because I hadn't finished it, I'm doing it right now. So, well, let me do just this last one. Couldn't resist. All right, so in this top section here, what I decided to do is, and I think I had mentioned, I did, uh, instead of just a little curve line here, I took it from right here, I tucked it right into this corner of the orb and the curve line and took it all the way to the center. So I made them large. And then I decided, so they really, it's kind of like right here, if you will. But then I decided to divide the top section here and do some rounding on the edges. Because it's just like, well, let's just see what else we can do with this, right? And so that's what I ended up doing. And I think it turned out rather neat. As you can see, at least this part is done. And of course, did shading and everything. This is where I mentioned, if you have enough room, you really have to have the enough room so you can make a little bit of a gradient and have the original tile color come through, so you can see that rounding that happened. So this was a lot of fun. Then I decided I wanted to work on one of the new translucency tiles, which is basically a vellum. And so I had fun with this. And as we were playing with it, one of the things that came out early was that, gosh, it sure does look poinsettia-y, when you just have the shape. So at the point before we add in, all of this, that reticula that's open, it has a definite flowery look. And so so we were having fun with that. And so I used that that theme, but with adding some general chalk pencils in here on this tile in some strategic areas. Used some of the gold jelly roll to add some fancy fescues in there, and I did this print hump on the back in the sections, and see how neat that turns out in the front. I was just wanting to play with that a little bit more. So lots of fun, lots of fun. All right, it's an amazing tangle. It really, really is, and you can make it look just so different depending on how you decorate it and how you structure it from the beginning. So, hope you enjoyed this. If you did, would love to have you click like. Feel free to share it, leave comments. If you liked it enough to see more, would love to have you subscribe to the channel. I already mentioned the description section. That's where you'll find step outs and ways to connect with me. A link to my website is there as well. That's where you'll find information on classes and sign up for my blog. So that way, if you want to see these recaps and everything else, I am doing an Inkvember because Inktober was so much fun. Some wanted to continue, and I do a daily tangle. I hadn't been posting the daily tangle on my site, or at least as far as a blog post. I do have you'll see it in the menu, daily tangle, and I add to it every day. So we decided to do Inkvember for November, and then we'll see what happens in December. But anyway, would love to have you follow. If you happen to be on Facebook, would love to have you. If you're on Facebook and you want to commune with some other Tangle addicts, we would love to have you join us. We have a lot of fun, both on the classes and online. And link to that is also in the description section. So with that, thanks so much for watching, and I wish you happy tangling.